Dr. Nathaniel Cogley, are you there?
Yes, sir. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Nice to have you on our show, the interim head of the Department of Government at Tarleton State University. What's this interim stuff?
Well, fortunately, on June 1st, they dropped interim, so I'm now head.
I thought so. Old material. He is the head of the department. Tell me about Tarleton State. What is it? Where is it? What do you guys do?
We're part of the A&M system, and we have a really beautiful campus out here in Stephenville. The president's done a good job to beautify this campus. It's gorgeous, and we got a lot of great programs out here.
Okay, issue one, the China tariffs. Are they or aren't they going to meet? The president of China, the president of the United States?
Well, I think a lot was, that's the headline, you know. Trump says if they don't meet, he'll put on the tariffs. But that kind of came off in a rather weak way. You know, Rebecca Quick of CNBC said, well, our correspondent can't confirm that the Chinese media, confirms that the president will meet. But President Trump believes he'll be meeting with President Xi. And he even clarified later in that comment that this is dependent on whether or not there's a deal, whether or not he'll raise tariffs, not whether or not they meet. He expects them to meet. But, of course, making a deal requires them to, meet at one place or another.
If I'm China, don't I wait till 2020? Don't I hear that he's going to lose? Why would I make a deal with Donald Trump?
Well, that's a very good point. So if we look at this kind of back and forth and this kind of strategic interaction between the two, the U.S. has a lot of cards it can play, and China's got a lot of cards it can play. So from the U.S. side, our strength is that if we start, taxing each other's products, each other's exports, there's a lot more exports from China coming to the U.S. than there are from the U.S. going to China. So we're going to be able to win any tariff battle. But one of the things that China does have an advantage on the U.S. is kind of political stability. And I wouldn't want to live in China under a one-party state. But, it's dominated by one party. There's no opposition in the Congress. It's a one-party state, and the president has removed term limits. And even if a new president were to take over in China, it'd be someone high up in the party who's been working with the former president. Whereas over here, it's back and forth between the two parties. You have opposition, people saying tariffs are bad. So China does feel like it can play the waiting game better than the U.S.
Well, I mean, is there a way that they can come out of this both saving a little face?
Well, yeah, sure. If they can make a deal and present it as mutually beneficial, it's tough because there's got a lot of egos on the line and a lot of complex industry. China's had a really advantageous trade terms, so even like a reciprocal deal isn't an improvement for them. But could it be better than what's going to happen if they get a tariff on all $600 billion of their exports to the U.S.? Maybe. But I do agree with you that might be one of China's plays. Let's see how the presidential election plays out.
I just don't. It's too close, and international media says Trump's going to get beat, which I don't know if is accurate. Of course.
Well, I didn't think he'd win.
No, 99% likely Hillary's going to win. I started watching the election with the remote in my right hand, and as soon as Florida was called for Hillary, I was out of there. So it never happened. All right, finally, they trotted John Dean out there yesterday. Wow, what is this? What it feels very circusy, very dog and pony, very stunt-like. What was your take on that?
Well, this was we're in this divided Congress. These two judiciary committees going in two totally different directions, and the House side just wants to investigate. They don't want to actually move on impeachment because one, President Pence isn't a Democratic goal. Two, impeachment doesn't remove a president. It just sends it to the Senate where the votes aren't there. And three, it's good for Trump. But they do want to dig up as much dirt as totally possible. Where on the Senate side, they're going to look at why this investigation took place. Why was the president falsely accused? And we're just we're already in election mode in both sides. I don't know about the John Dean interview specifically. I just was focusing on China for the day.
But he was last relevant last I checked in 1973, and he's a never Trumper, so I don't understand why you're. Anyway, congratulations on that bucket and basket of money they brought in. June 1 as now head of the department. Well,
I don't know about basket of money, but I'm getting by.
Hey, listen, congratulations on that, and hope we can chat again sometime. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
You betcha. Dr. Nathaniel Cogley's his name, interim head of the Department of Government, now department head of the department. They dropped the interim June 1. Tarleton State University, part of the Texas A&M system down in the great state of Texas. ESPN 93.5, I am Stevie J.